This is it, everybody. The moment you've been waiting for. Not only are we talking once again about Karate Christmas Miracle from one of our, I'll say, favorite filmmakers, Big Kenny D, but we're giving it the official Panda review right here. Kelly, are you pumped about this?
That's probably not the word I'd use, but I'm prepared to discuss this thing.
I've now watched this movie more times than some other movies that I like non-ironically.
Yeah, not so much for me, but it'd be interesting to, I mean, I still can't in my mind reconcile uh, which the Karate Christmas Miracle versus the Wrestling Christmas Miracle, which followed a year after, riding the wave of Karate Christmas Miracle. Um, I'm not sure which is the very generous use of the word better of the two. But I don't know. I guess maybe wrestling was a little more, everything's relative when we talk about these movies, was a little more polished, I guess.
Yeah, I will say that objectively speaking, and again relative to the other film, Wrestling Christmas Miracle is a slightly technically better film than this one is.
Yeah, even though its runtime is padded out by actual footage of wrestling matches, but we digress. But we're here to talk karate and panda reviews. And yes, folks, zero pandas are in play for this review.
Who knows, we could get three-quarter pandas this time around.
And yeah, or not. Or not. We will go ahead and start off with our first category against 1 to 5 pandas, whole numbers preferred, strongly preferred. Um, and the first one is writing plot, just kind of that whole structure of it. Um, what did you score this, Mike, for writing?
So, you know what? Honestly, so all right, this is a bad movie. You guys know it's a bad movie. You know that we think it's a bad movie. All of the fun that I derive from this, I don't want to speak for Kelly here, but it's all ironic fun in the way that you enjoy watching something that's bad. That's where all of that comes from for me. Here's what I will say though. And I've talked about this before with certain things. There's a movie called The Perfection on Netflix. It was really controversial when it came out because of the content of the movie. So that's why I watched it just to kind of see if it lived up to the hype around it. But what I found with the movie, and honestly, I don't know if I liked it, but what I found with it is at every moment, I had no idea what was going to happen next in that movie. For better or worse, it was like somebody just took a Mad Libs book and just stuck random stuff in there. And honestly, that was kind of refreshing because when you watch a lot of movies, especially like horror movies, I'm a huge horror fan. I watch tons of horror movies. You can you can start to pick out where things are going to go and which characters are going to do what. I had no idea what was going to happen from second to second in The Perfection. In that similar kind of regard, this is the highest category for me in some ways for this movie because I mean I've seen a number of faith-based movies and none of them have such a crazy scattered idea of a story as this. So in that sense, like at least it's creative, it's inventive, and other than I assumed it would have a happy ending, I had no idea what was going to happen from second to second in this movie. From clowns sent by a serial killer to kill Big Kenny D as he was at a birthday party slash gun rally at a movie theater. Again, it just sounds like I'm making this up as I'm saying it, which is, as I assume, how it was written in just deranged, sleep deprived stream of consciousness ramblings. But because of that, I'm gonna give it a two.
Yeah, I'll give it a two as well. But and mostly because it flirting with a one on this. But I decided to go with a two, even though it broke fundamental rules in multiple disciplines. Their depiction of how marketing works totally, totally out of that they were here. I'll have her say these things, and you will think that she's a great marketer. And no, but the people in the show is, oh, she's amazing, and all those types of things. The laws of physics in terms of karate belts surrounding a Christmas tree as a garland. That's
Of all of the things
not
in the movie, I do find it fascinating that this is the thing where you're like, broke my suspension of disbelief.
well, so the whole clown gun show theater thing, yes. I mean that that's a problem. Um, it's the basic concept of a black belt will cure comas is an interesting thing as well. Gosh, and there was one more that was super irritating. Oh yeah, the home grading for karate belts was another one. Just that you could just kind of say, "Oh, my parents watched me do this. Give me a black belt." So these are things that truly made me feel comfortable giving it a two, and occasionally glancing over at the one, going, "Yeah, you could have a home here too," but I will go with a two. All right, I think here's where you and I may differ significantly. Acting. Go ahead.
So I am excluding the kid from this, just like when we talked about it the first time.
That's fine.
I am excluding him. I'm not going to make fun of a kid, especially when, I mean, it's easy to kind of pick on a movie like this, not just because of the quality, but because of the very obvious agenda behind it, as far as it being a faith-based movie made by somebody who has a very strong political point of view. And a lot of that works its way into it, especially with the wife character who, learns that she was a bad wife because she went to school and got a career, learns that that made her a bad wife and mother. It's a subplot of all of this, things like that. So it's easy to make fun of a kid who's not an actor. And also, let's face it, this was Big Kenny D's ideas, not the kid's ideas. He may grow up to harbor these same beliefs, but he's just a kid who's, playing with his dad, kind of thing is the way that I see it. So I'm excluding him. Luckily, there's plenty to pick on with everybody else in here. And I'm going to be honest with you. The person who deserves it the most is the wife befriends a psychic turned religious teacher, and her students make the dumbest faces I've ever seen anyone make in a movie. And I feel like this is one of those things. Did you ever see the movie The Happening, the Shyamalan movie?
No.
So it's a bad movie. It's a movie that's known as a bad movie, and it really put a stain on his career for a while. And there's a lot of things that people make fun of rightfully in the movie. But the thing that people point out, but to me is really a microcosm of what's wrong with it, is Zoe Deschanel plays Marky Mark's wife in it. And this isn't a spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it, but any scene that she's in, if she's not talking, she stares directly at the camera, regardless of screen direction, meaning the direction the characters are supposed to be looking. So if Marky Mark is looking over here, talking to John Leguizamo's character, she is facing forward, looking directly at the camera at all times, no matter where they are or what they're doing. If she's not speaking, she is staring into the camera. It's insane. I understand that that obviously wasn't planned, but at some point, somebody had to see this or say something to her about it. So she's a bad actress, but it's one of these things where everybody was wrong because nobody around her said it. Marky Mark didn't notice that she's looking in a completely different direction. John Leguizamo didn't notice. The director didn't say anything. The producers, no one else on set. Everybody let this happen. if you freeze frame the classroom scene, the faces those people are making, staring directly into the camera, there's no way nobody saw that. And I understand that this probably wasn't a movie where they could afford a lot of takes for things, but it's pretty bad. And I know it seems like a small thing to nitpick when most of the acting is terrible, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say, just like his son playing a role, a lot of these roles aren't real actors, probably just people he knows or people who work for him, constituents of his from the area. So I'm going to give it a one, but just barely. Like this just creeped past a zero for me.
Yeah, I so felt this deserved a zero from the wife's lower lipped acting that she basically she contorts her face in unpredictable ways through most of the types of that. Um, it was just painful. Uh, you know, Mr. D is a man of many talents, I guess. Acting is not one of them. So he's pretty painful to watch on a regular basis, and I'm willing to, like as you did, say we're gonna cut any commentary on the young child's performance, because that seems fair for the reasons you outlined. So I'm gonna he's not part of the equation. I think everybody else manages to hurdle this towards zero, and it's just Martin Cove and Eric Roberts joining together, creating a human lifesaver to float on the garbage that is the acting performances here, to let them barely bob their head above water to get a one. But I will also give it a one, because while it's horrific roles, they actually know how to act. And so I have to kind of look across the whole thing, and even though everybody else is pulling it deep underwater to a zero, they let it just bob up barely to grab a breath and get their one for acting for me as well. So
I'm glad you mentioned them because I realized when I had stopped that I had forgotten to. They're at least trying. They don't have a lot to work with, but you get the impression that they tried. And again, they are actual actors. So there's something there that they're trying to make happen. So that's why it just barely scrapes past a zero for me to a one.
yeah, I mean they're no Bobcat Goldthwait as far as performance, but they are serviceable actors. So the rest not serviceable. Music and score.
I so I've seen this movie 8 times probably now, and the music never stands out to me. Like I instantly forget it, which to me is worse than being bad, if that even makes sense. Like something that's bad, at least it made some sort of an impression on you. I remember as a kid going to museums, class trips and things like that, and we were coming back from a high school museum trip, and these kids were just talking about there was something, it was just like a square on a piece of paper, and it had the biggest crowd in the museum, and they were just flabbergasted by this and ranted about it for like 45 minutes, and the teacher pointed out, you saw all these amazing famous pieces of art, all you've talked about now is the square on the piece of paper. So it accomplished exactly what they wanted it to do. Like that's what made the biggest impression on you. So to me, forgetting it or not having any impact is worse than it being bad. So I'm going to give it a zero because I forget
Interesting. I did not think I would score any parts of this movie higher
it.
higher than you, and I think it's just you're more knowledgeable and passionate about music, and so I can see how you end up on your score. I'm a two, and it's kind of for the same reason in that I'm assuming there was a score. I'm assuming there were, but, it really wasn't relevant. But unlike so I saw bad acting, and bad acting affected me in my experience. I saw a horrible plot, and horrible plot affected me, my enjoyment of the movie. the whatever was going on in terms of music score on this type of thing never was so bad that it further spoiled my enjoyment or experience of it. So it did no harm. I guess that does make it kind of forgettable, but I thought at least, hey, you didn't you didn't ruin anything. So I I gave it a two. I can see where you're coming from, but I did give it a two. So
How
uh,
crazy is this going to be if you score this movie higher than me?
I think there's a pretty good chance with that zero right now. So we'll see on that. Unless, um, and I'm just going to have to stick. I'm not going to let your commentary influence my scores. But yeah, and it may actually be significantly higher. We'll have to see. Because we will now go to our final category, which is cinematography, visuals. It's really there was the soundscape we just talked about. Now this is more the visual scape. So any special effects, which are minimal, thankfully, in this cinematography, overall direction, those types of things. Where do you land on that?
So it's all poorly done. It's nothing, but it's not. So I watch a lot of bad movies. So I've seen worse. And faith-based movies in particular, and I'm not trying to pick on religion before anybody gets offended. Faith-based movies are a particular subgenre of movies that really tend not to care about production value. Faith-based movies, the reason that they get such a bad rap is typically they're they're made under the most cynical terms. Like not like I believe that Big Kenny D is who he's what he's putting out there. He's a far right wing Christian. These are his values that he's putting in a way that he thinks is entertaining and makes sense to people. So I believe that, but much more cynically, a lot of faith based movies are just kind of slapped together as quickly and cheaply as possible. And then they pre sell DVDs and things to church groups and religious bookstores. And that's how they make their money off of it. And it really doesn't matter what the final product is at that point. So that's not this. So I'm going to give it a one for that. It does look slightly better than some of those. Or my personal favorite high point of all faith-based movies is in Kirk Cameron's Left Behind. And I have to say Kirk Cameron's because it was remade as a Hollywood movie, which didn't fare a whole lot better, I don't think. But Kirk Cameron's version of it, which the author of the religious book series it's based on sued him for because it was so bad and so cheaply made. He claimed he made it for like $5 million or something. There's a scene that's supposed to be Kirk Cameron as a reporter in the Middle East that he shot in, it looks like his backyard with a black sheet behind him that's supposed to be the night sky. And then it cuts to a shot at it, what is very clearly a zoo of a camel walking by to sell you on the whole Middle East thing. So it is slightly better than Kirk Cameron's Left Behind. So it gets a one.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. So I would argue with you that um, terms like slapped together and got done as quickly as possible seem very appropriate to apply to this movie as well. I don't think that there were hours and hours in the editing room to
I
say,
I I totally agree with you there. I do think they tried on this though. I think they failed, but I think there was some effort put into it. Whereas a lot of the faith-based stuff, they're just pre-selling it and then whatever slop they give them, that is what it is.
yeah, so about trying. Good. My point of view on that, I go back to Jim Rohn on this in terms of one of my all-time favorite quotes, which is, trying. It takes more than motivation, is his quote. It takes more than motivation.
It's a good quote.
If you have an idiot and you motivate him, you have a motivated idiot. You know. So I think it's the same thing here, is that try and okay, so you did. I could try too, but trying doesn't trying doesn't get you pandas. So I'm also going to be That's a t-shirt.
I was gonna say that's got to be a shirt. Trying doesn't get you pandas.
That's right. I would have to go. I will go with one as well for this. Again, just it has very much um, just it's a notch above production values of you know not saying this is actually factually true, but let's just say during college days, there was a VCR, VHS camera that was made available, and some skits were done by some gentlemen after drinking a lot of Pepsi one night, and the production value of those slightly worse, but not significantly worse than some of the production value of this one here. It felt like a home camera, that a lot of particularly the scenes in the home just kind of felt like, yeah, hang on, let me pick up the big camera here and just kind of film some stuff. So it was sad. But in a movie chock full of quotes, many, many quotes that are memorable. Not quite as many as in Wrestling Christmas Miracle, which at some point we'll likely do a Panda review as well. But this one had its own. So, do you have your favorite quote from Karate Christmas Miracle?
I want you to go first on this one.
Okay. So, mine's going to be, and this is early on, and so some of my background is in marketing. And so maybe I'm a little more sensitive to how they depict, well, this is what a marketing person does. And so she's attempted to be kind of depicted as this brilliant marketer. And as a proof point to her brilliant marketing, she's on a call and she's like, applesauce is awesome. It's the new Jello. So, so that copyright violation, first of all, if she's working with the applesauce, cabal, she's going to get them in trouble anyway.
Big
So,
sauce.
So it's gonna be bad. But yeah, I just that one stuck with me as a highly memorable quote.
How many pandas would you give it?
Oh, geez, I'm gonna give that a one panda too. Why? I don't know because yeah, one panda for the quote.
So the reason I wanted you to go first is I was hoping that was your line because that's mine too. I remember when we initially talked about this, we definitely got stuck on that line. It was something that we kept coming back to. And you know that when they were writing the script, they were just like, it's got to be something great. And they land on it. And I would almost guarantee if we could be a fly on the wall in that brainstorming session, they would have been like, we should probably try and sell this to Big Applesauce because this line is too good.
That's
Like
right.
this needs to be on packaging.
So how you gonna panda that one up?
Yeah. You know what though? It is the most memorable line, but it's still not great. Like I enjoy it ironically. So if I'm going to give it a fair shake, it's got to be a one panda.
One panda. Okay. Yeah, it a stunning shock. I scored higher than you for this one here. Uh, Final total for Mike, five pandas, um, out of a possible 25. And I'm at seven. So not entirely different. Uh, I feel that I've wronged. I've done something wrong here. But I just couldn't, I really wanted to give a zero in acting. I couldn't because of, damn you, Martin Coe, so we can't do that. But it's this one. We've talked about some movies. You've talked certainly a lot in the past on that. You enjoy bad movies. You can get a lot of enjoyment. I enjoy certain types of bad movies, like most of the sci-fi stuff. I really enjoyed the sci-fi movie stuff that was, um, and it was Pranaconda and those types of things. Lavalantula, all of that kind of fun stuff was just uh, true joy to me to watch. I just really did. Um, there's been some recent movies that were bad that I didn't enjoy, but this one, I'm certainly not rushing down to watch it, you know, on a repeated basis. But it has a nice major car wreck on the side of the road feel to it that you are going to spend a little bit of time observing as it goes by. So, um, yeah, I can't really recommend. I mean, I really do think you need to watch it if you haven't seen it, just because it's a thing. but
Yeah.
but it it's lucky to get 7 pandas from me. But that's where we landed on that.
Yeah, this is a really interesting outcome because you scored it higher than me, but I probably like it better than
Yeah.
you. Like I would recommend this movie to I have recommended this movie to people. I've made my in-laws watch this movie. They came over for Christmas last year. I put this movie. I made people watch this movie, not just recommended it to them. But if I'm being fair and balanced, like Fox News, I do have to be honest, and it is bad. So I feel like my Five Pandas is an accurate review, but with the asterisk that I highly recommend this movie because I do think it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I'd like to point out if we would remove music from the because there was a 2 point spread on music and we would have scored it the same. And so your elitist views on music that that's what caused I think the yeah, I will just leave it at that. So I mean if you weren't a music elitist and scored it with a 2, or if I decided to be an ass and scored a 0 like some people did, then then we would have had the exact same score. So, but I don't think you can be fair-minded and I can't be an ass. So there's where we sit, folks. 7 and 5 for this one, but we'd appreciate hearing in the comments if you've watched this. If you watched it because we suggested it and you're mad at us, we'd like to know that. If your life has been complete because of it, if you disagree with any of these scores, if you think Mike is an elitist on music, these are the types of comments we'd like to see. Hashtag Mike's an elitist. So do whatever you like to do there. But let us know. Appreciate it if you would subscribe to the Bug Panda YouTube channel. Hit that bell. When new stuff comes out. And who knows if there's a later Christmas Miracle, Sumo Wrestling Christmas Miracle, Jarts
Oh,
Christmas
I would
Miracle.
love for them to do a third one.
Yep, I think I would as well. I don't think they can do like a polo Christmas Miracle. I don't think that'll be good, or a highlight. So
Golfing Christmas Miracle. Oh man, an Alice Cooper cameo in that.
there you go. Faith based. Alice has got some background there, so there's an angle for you, Kenny D. So get on it.
If Kenny D, if you're watching this, if you start a Kickstarter, I will contribute. Even if you don't do golfing with Alice Cooper, but if you do a third movie, I'll contribute to the Kickstarter. And not like a couple dollars. Like I want to see this movie get made. So I'm getting one of the more elite packages on that one.
And I hope he has Pagan score it.
Oh, I would love that. That
so
would be
that
amazing.
so that I can give it a 0.
I I'll throw that in. I'll score it for free.
There you go.
If you make if you make the third Christmas Miracle movie, I'm offering to score it absolutely free.
There you go. And he has a point of view on how to do it better.
Yeah.
So you got that. Cool. Hey, so let's know in the comments what you think. We appreciate you folks hanging around and thanks for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.